Here's more wrestling news for February 20th, 2023, and we're kicking off with WWE's Elimination Chamber, where Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley faced off in what fans thought would be the pair's last match together. After all, Bray Wyatt had already challenged the winner to a match at WrestleMania, but given the DQ finish last Saturday, fans have been left skeptical as to whether this feud is really over. During the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer provided an update saying that Lashley vs. Lesnar will happen again down the line. With that said, Meltzer added that the rematch hasn't been locked in for WrestleMania, so there's a chance that either man could still face Bray at the April event. Wyatt, Lesnar, and Lashley are all former world champions, and each have their own following in the WWE universe, but which match would you like to see most at WrestleMania 39? At New Japan's Battle in the Valley, Mercedes Moné's in-ring debut proved to be a successful one, with the former superstar capturing the IWGP Women's Championship. Moné won the gold from Kairi in her first match after parting ways with WWE, and though the ex-Sasha Banks isn't ruling out a return. Speaking with Mark Raimondi of ESPN, Moné was asked about whether she would ever consider returning to WWE and said, "I guess people like to say never. You never know in life. I never knew life would take me here, but I always follow my heart, so wherever my heart takes me is where I'm going to go." It was previously reported that prior to her New Japan debut at last month's Wrestle Kingdom, Moné received messages of support from Triple H and William Regal, so it's clear that she has a good relationship with important WWE names despite everything that's transpired. Whether that relationship is good enough that she could one day return to WWE, who's to say? And do you think we could see Sasha Banks in WWE again? Let us know in the comments. Mercedes Moné certainly made an impact in her very first match for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and she also had some extra special support from the crowd. In the audience, WWE superstar and Moné's close friend Bayley rooted for the self-proclaimed CEO of New Japan's women's division, but donned a mask to keep her presence from taking focus away from the match. Bayley wore the Lucha mask for some time, but as photos from Twitter user Righteous Red shows, the Damage Control member ultimately decided to take the mask off and support her friend in full. Bayley was hardly the only notable name in the crowd, as CM Punk was also at the show, fueling speculation that he could join the promotion if he's cut from AEW, as many suspect. The Boss and Hug Connection were a formidable team in WWE for years, and while they'll no longer be sharing the ring together, Bayley and Moné will always be supporting each other. In 2008, Ric Flair took his rightful place into the WWE Hall of Fame, and 4 years later, he'd make history as the first ever two-time inductee. For the 2012 class, Flair was inducted for his role as part of the Four Horsemen, but now the Nature Boy wants a third ring on his finger. While speaking on his podcast, Flair spoke about the impending induction of Dave Bautista, who was named for the Hall of Fame in 2020, but withdrew due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking about the animal, Flair said he's excited to see Bautista enter the Hall of Fame in due time, and believes that once he's inducted, then Evolution can be inducted as a group. The group of Flair, Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton have all had Hall of Fame-worthy careers, and if Evolution are inducted, it would be Flair's third time making an acceptance speech. Evolution dominated Raw from 2003 to 2005, at one point holding every male championship on the Red brand, so it may just be a matter of time before Flair receives his third induction. It was in April 2020 that FTR left WWE and signed over their considerable downside guarantees in order to not have to deal with a 90-day non-compete clause. It was just 1 month later that the duo joined AEW, but the pairing of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler didn't want to come alone. During a recent episode of the FTR with Dax Harwood podcast, Dax opened up about leaving WWE and said that he hoped for Jimmy and Jey Uso to depart with them. It was exciting to us before they re-signed with WWE, thinking that maybe they would follow us to what became AEW or whatever. Because if we went to AEW and AEW had the Young Bucks, had the Usos, and had us, that would have been the 3 top tag teams in the world being able to finally work together, and being able to finally, without any kind of training wheels on, we'd be able to go full bore, and it was an exciting time for me. But they did what's best for them and their families. And they do owe WWE and Vince McMahon. At the time, they owed them a lot for giving them a chance, and they have absolutely made the most of all the chances they've been given. The Usos re-signed with WWE and have become a huge part of the company's programming as part of the Bloodline storyline, in addition to becoming the longest reigning tag team champions. Re-signing with WWE was definitely the right decision for Jimmy and Jay, but we can't help but wonder how the brothers would have fared as part of the AEW tag team division. Last July, the wrestling world was stunned with the retirement of Vince McMahon, who stepped down due to allegations of misconduct and millions being paid in NDAs. It's alleged that McMahon coerced female employees and at least one superstar to perform sexual acts, and one legendary woman has weighed in on the chairman. Speaking on Just Alex, WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze spoke about McMahon and had good things to say, calling herself Vince's girl. The woman, known as Medusa, said that Vince always treated her well, and despite what some people may say about him, the billionaire was always good to her. Blaze did give the one exception that after she left the WWE in the mid-90s, McMahon effectively killed the WWF's women's division, and when it was brought back years later, it was treated as little more than sexual gratification for the fans. While Alundra may see herself as Vince's girl, she was infamously blacklisted from WWE for 2 decades after throwing the women's title in the trash on WCW Monday Nitro. But despite everything that's happened, the Hall of Famer remains firmly on McMahon's side. Back to the present, and Roman Reigns is on arguably the greatest role of any WWE superstar in history, and recently surpassed 900 days as the WWE Universal Champion. After his victory at Elimination Chamber, the WWE on BT Sport Twitter page added Sami Zayn to the long list of names to fall to the Tribal Chief, joining the likes of John Cena, Edge, Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg, and Kevin Owens. We know that Cody Rhodes plans to dethrone Reigns at WrestleMania 39, but if the American Nightmare comes up short, then we may already know who will be next to step up. In a response to that tweet, Bray Wyatt fired off a 7-word message asking, "Yeah, but how did he win it?" Wyatt's response is relating to the fact that while Reigns' tenure as Universal Champion came by ending Bray's week-long reign in 2020, the Tribal Chief actually pinned Braun Strowman at that year's Payback in a triple threat match. Wyatt has yet to have his long-awaited rematch for the Universal title, something that Wyatt clearly hasn't forgotten about. And do you think we'll ever see Bray hold the Universal title in WWE again? Or has that ship sailed for the former Fiend? At this time, AEW has 4 weekly events, with those being AEW Dynamite and Rampage on TV, as well as Dark and Dark Elevation online. In addition to these shows, AEW has a select number of pay-per-views, but has opted to have far less than WWE. But could a new show be on the horizon? PW Insider is reporting that AEW has filed a trademark for the term AEW Collision, with the filing including all the staple uses for a wrestling television show. AEW has proven to be a hit with fans, and Warner Bros. Discovery CCO Kathleen Flinch saw that her company has huge respect for the AEW fanbase, and we'll have to see when AEW Collision is launched as its own TV show. And we're ending today with Dusty Rhodes, as the late wrestler never became WWF champion, which has been a huge part of his son Cody's return to WWE. The American Nightmare has vowed to fulfill a promise to his father and become champion, but Dusty nearly had the accolade himself, according to the Raw superstar. Speaking on the Cheap Heat podcast, Cody recalled stories his father had told him about working for the WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and said that there was a time when Vince McMahon wanted Dusty and Billy Graham to be his top 2 stars. Cody said that McMahon even booked recording studio time for the pair to record albums years before Cyndi Lauper and Lou Albano would kick off the Rock and Wrestling Connection, as the boss realized the importance of promoting his top talent in other medias. Before leaving WWE in 2016, Cody was told a similar story by Vince McMahon, who said that he was furious when Dusty opted to leave the WWF, and said that he planned for the American Dream to be as big a star as Hulk Hogan, if not bigger. Ironically, much of Dusty's appeal to fans was that he was the common man who didn't have the physique of a megastar like Hogan or Graham, but the wrestling world would have been much different had Dusty stayed all those years ago.